I can't think of a good reason why we would have a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old enter into marriage.
Target 8 has uncovered adults in Michigan are marrying children as young as 14, and it's all perfectly legal.
Few people know because the state hides the marriage documents, sealing them from the public. Well, tonight, our Target 8 investigation is exposing these secret marriages.
Target 8 investigator Heather Walker is speaking with a West Michigan woman married at 14 to give us a look into the life of a child bride. Heather.
Her story is actually one of many, sometimes hundreds a year in Michigan. Now almost 40, she agreed for the first time to share how a decision made for her decades ago still impacts her life today.
Girls dream about their wedding day, planning every detail, from the diamond ring to the perfect dress. Her I do was different.
We went to the courthouse. It took 5 minutes. I think we kissed or something, and that was it.
Secrets.
Crazy thing that it can still keep going on.
Take time to come to light.
It sets a person up to be taken advantage of.
It took months of gathering information.
That would be considered a secret marriage.
Interviews.
Having child brides, that bothers me.
And first-hand accounts.
So I was like, I'm too young. I'm not ready for this.
All right, thank you for your help. Yes, thanks.
We learned these secret marriages happen quickly.
It took 5 minutes. It was just done, and we went back to my house, had cake, and left.
Our team traveled to Florida to talk to a child bride we'll call Anne. She wants to hide her identity for her family's protection. We are also not naming her husband. However, she is sharing photos from her teens to give us a look at the life of a child bride. Back in 1994, she was living in Vestaburg, a small Montcalm County town, when she met the young man she would marry.
I was smitten as soon as I saw him.
She was 13. It started out innocent, but about a year later, when her boyfriend turned 18, her dad, unhappy with the relationship, was threatening jail.
My dad had looked it up, and he had figured out that it would be statutory rape because I was so young.
Anne says her boyfriend was suicidal.
Why did you get married at 14?
I don't know. Because they wanted me to, I guess. I loved him. I didn't want him to die. My mom wanted me to get married.
You felt pressured?
Yeah, a lot.
Did you want to get married?
Not the day before, that's for sure.
She says her boyfriend stayed up all night, convincing her to marry him the next day. Dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, she went to the courthouse and said, I do. No ring, no flowers, no questions asked.
No one said, are you sure you want to do this?
No, not at all. Unfortunately not. They should have.
The only requirement, a parent's signature.
Just one parent had to sign.
Yeah, and they actually gave us the paper and had us take it home to sign like it was a permission slip, to go on a field trip. That's it.
Under Michigan law, you have to be 18 to consent to marriage. 16 to 17, you need parental consent. Under 16, a parent's and judge's approval.
So if a judge says yes, you can potentially get married at any age. There's no limit.
Correct.
Child marriages like Anne's happen every year. In 2000, there were 537 in Michigan. The most recent numbers available from 2014 show 116 child marriages. The majority, 84%, were girls marrying adult men.
To look up marriage license. Yeah, how long ago do you know?
When we first tried to pull the records for Anne's marriage, we found out how the secret is so well kept.
Was she 18?
No. Oh, that might be why. She was 14.
That would be considered a secret marriage, and I don't think that those are public.
It's called a secret marriage?
The records are sealed. The state hides their identities. Even with Anne and her husband's names, we couldn't get a copy of their marriage license. Only the husband and wife can unseal the record in person. At 14, Anne was locked into a marriage, pulled out of school, and stuck at home with what she calls wifely duties.
I didn't know how to cook, and he wanted me to be a certain way that I couldn't be.
You were supposed to be this perfect housewife at 14.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to be.
And you were punished for that?
Oh, yeah. He was very particular. His socks had to be folded a certain way. Everything had to be done just so. If he was mad and I bumped him, he might punch me or something.
Ann says the marriage was bad from the beginning.
Did he ever threaten to kill you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Miles away from family and friends, she says sometimes she would run to a neighbor's home to hide for the night until her husband calmed down in the morning. She was too young to drive or have a job.
You need the money, you need the help, you need everything. And you really appreciate everything you get.
It took a Freedom of Information request to discover some teen girls marrying men 3 times their age, including a marriage between a 15-year-old girl and a 48-year-old man.
So why is it called a secret marriage?
Well, this was designed for situations where a woman, a child, had gotten pregnant and they wanted to legitimize the child.
Milton Mack is now a state court administrator, but he once presided over these secret marriages as a probate judge.
You know, judges do see these cases where they come in and the marriage is basically to absolve the older male of any criminal responsibility.
It's a legal loophole.
It is.
And that I could get married under the age that I could even consent to sex. That blows my mind.
The law dates back to 1897, but it's still being used today in cases where brides like Ann are not pregnant. The law establishing the minimum age for marriage dates back even further to 1887.
Whatever purpose that once had has long expired. It's time to go.
Science supports that. The part of your brain responsible for decision-making does not fully develop until your 20s.
Since the young person's emotional area is developed, but not their logical thinking, lots of times they can be swayed by other people. They can give in to what other people want of them, especially if somebody's older, more mature.
I want the law to change. It doesn't do anybody any good.
And what about the argument, religious reasons, purity?
Well, marriage involves sex, so you're not making them any more pure by getting married.
Ann is still married to the same man. She says he's matured and now agrees they should not have married so young. But she still deals with fear and sadness daily.
Because who knows what I could have done with life? I mean, having to stay up all night cleaning.
She's finally working on a college degree, setting an example for her daughters, the girls that inspired her to try and change this law.
Then my daughter turned 14, and I could look at her and go, wow, that's not the life I would want for my daughter. She's a kid. She should be playing and doing whatever she wants to do.
Believe it or not, 48 other states allow child marriages. Delaware became the first state to ban it just 4 months ago. We did reach out to our lawmakers, but did not hear back.
Just on the surface, that law seems a little out of step. You must have received a lot of feedback already from this story. What are you hearing?
I think people are just shocked that this law still exists.
Course.
Not only that it still exists, because of course we have lots of laws that are on the books that are outdated, but it doesn't matter. In this case, these marriages are still happening every year.
And her goal is to make sure that this law changes.
Absolutely. To change that law to make it 18 and older for marriage.
Heather Walker, thank you.